Dennis Pitta joins us on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline, talking about a guy who's living on a prayer. Just kidding, Dennis. How about BYU beating up on UNLV, 10-point win in Las Vegas, and just maybe finding a quarterback for the future? Dennis, who's your number one quarterback going into spring ball right now?
Well, hey, guys, how's it going? So my quarterback going into spring, I mean, you really have to wait and see what happens over the next couple games. But as of right now, I mean, based on how Joe Critchlow played in that game, I was really impressed, and he would be my number one quarterback going into spring. But there's still 2 games left. You have to factor injuries. Hopefully he stays healthy. And there's just so many factors. And if he continues to play at the level he played last week, I would put him as my starter going into next year. So we'll see how it plays out.
Which is pretty wild, right? Homie is a 4th stringer. Hardly anyone knows his name. He's a walk-on. But it's a testament to the 2 eyes. You can't have either of the eyes. You can't be injured or inept. And unfortunately, BYU's had a lot of both this year. How frustrating as a skill position player on offense is it not knowing who the guy is at quarterback on a team?
First of all, you got a problem with walk-ons, Jerem?
I'm just making a point that he's been like a nobody. If a team really cares about you, they give you a scholarship eventually, right?
Yeah, I guess they do. I mean, listen, I started as a walk-on, and it's not an easy road. Nobody knows your name. Nobody knows who you are. And, I think I've told this story before, but when I walked on to BYU, Coach Gary Croton was the head coach, and he used to call me Dustin all the time. He didn't even know my name was Dennis.
That's right.
And that's the head coach. So I know what Joe Critchlow's going through. But, listen, I was just so impressed by him in that game. And I know he wasn't asked to do a lot because you had a tremendous run game and huge game out of Squally Canada, but he did exactly what he was asked to do. He was accurate with the ball, and most importantly, the quarterback position is played from the shoulders up. He was poised. He was confident. He looked like a leader. He looked like he fit the part, and that's what I was most impressed with. And so we'll see how he does. It's a small sample size, but he throws the ball really well. He has good touch on. He throws a catchable ball. We didn't see as many drop balls out of receivers, so I think that is all plays into his ability and what he was able to do. But I don't even know what question you asked me. I just kind of went on a tangent and got so worked up about the walk-on thing that I just started talking.
Well, it's kind of like your routes. You just kind of go where you want to go, and then Max would find you the ball. The question was about being a skill position player and not how tough is it to not know who the guy is at quarterback, because there's a relationship there, right?
Yeah, it's really tough to be a wide receiver especially and not know who's throwing you the ball and not have any kind of consistency or trust level is really difficult. It's difficult for a quarterback. It's difficult for a receiver. And, being a receiver, I would say the toughest part to adjust to is just how the ball comes out of somebody's hand. Is it a catchable ball? What's the spin like on it? Does it have a little bit of a nose dive? Where can I expect it? And I think you saw that kind of trust and chemistry quickly develop throughout the course of a game with Joe Critchlow because, like I mentioned before, he throws a really catchable ball, and he puts touch on it when he needs to. He throws it accurately. I've played with quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, who you don't know where the ball's going to come out, where it's going to end up, and so you're worried about it, and you end up dropping it or something like that. So you can depend on the accuracy and the touch on the ball, and it makes it a whole lot easier as a receiver.
Dennis Pitta with us on BYU Sports Nation, recapping UNLV and previewing BYU's game with Umass tomorrow on Senior Day. And you have experienced Senior Day, Dennis. You've lived the emotions of that. You know what that's like. How do you explain those emotions that the BYU seniors are feeling right now, knowing that this is the last game they're going to play at LaVell Edwards Stadium?
Well, it's true. I was a senior once. Have you guys graduated yet? Anybody?
No.
Still working on that, man.
You're on like the 10-year plan. You guys are still sophomores.
This internship has been amazing.
Yeah. They've been really patient with us.
I get that. So, yeah, I mean, listen, Senior Day is there's a lot of emotions that surround it, but fortunately it's not their last game. And I think there's more emotion when you talk about playing your last football game for BYU. And for me, I was fortunate enough to be able to play in a bowl game. I played in the Las Vegas Bowl for 15 straight years. But, there's a lot of emotion in that last game, but Senior Day, it will kind of put things in perspective like, wow, we only have one game left after this. And playing playing in LaVell Edwards Stadium for the last time there's so much emotion that goes into that. And as a player, you want nothing more than to come out of that game with a win. And if I remember right, I think on senior day for us, we were playing Utah.
Yep.
And it was the game where Andrew George in overtime caught that ball, split, two defenders, and ran up the middle wide open and for a walk-off touchdown. So what a memorable game for me, and, a game that had so much emotion.
I have a couple of questions about that game. First, why wasn't that you? Were you on the field in that formation? Did you draw a double team or something?
I was on the field. I was on the opposite side of Andrew, and I was running. Andrew had what we call a pivot route, so he kind of fakes to the outside and comes back inside of it about 5 yards. I was running just an out route at 5 yards, and I killed my defender. I was wide open. I was actually upset I didn't get the ball on that play. But Andrew was actually the one being doubled. If you remember, they kind of converged on him, and the ball just snuck through. I think it was a linebacker and a safety, and he caught it, and nobody was behind him. So
Max made a poor read?
Play, and well, I mean, I'm not going to say Max made a poor read because it resulted in a touchdown. But, if you wanted an easy completion, just go my way.
Okay, and then the follow-up to that is, I remember being in the press room after. I'm trying to you came in and talked. It took a while for you to get there because, people rushed the field. Were you in the room when Max went on his rant, or was that before or after? Remind me.
I was in the room. I was sitting in the back of the room. And he was up at the podium or at the table in front of all the media and just started his legendary rant. And I was dying laughing, but I have kind of my hands over my face thinking, man, this is not going to end up very well for Max. And but it's one of those things where it was hilarious in the moment and something we look back on and laugh at all the time. It was great.
Dennis Pitta with us on BYU Sports Nation previewing Senior Day for BYU. Do you have a favorite memory in LaVell Edwards Stadium? If so, what is it?
Well, I think I just mentioned it, unfortunately, and it had to have been that Utah game because the way in which we won it, with so much on the line, in overtime, Andrew George with the walk-off touchdown on Senior Day. I mean, there's not a more memorable time playing in that stadium than right there. And I wish I had a better answer for you other than that because we just covered it. But that was definitely, when I look back at playing in that stadium, that was the key moment for me.
Can BYU, if they win the next 2 games, can that change how you feel about this season? They end with the 3-game win streak. Will that change how you feel about this season in any way?
No. Will it change how you feel?
No.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. The season is what it is. I think we all expect us to win out at this point. And we play UMass, and I know we have to go to Hawaii, which you never know what you're going to travel over to Hawaii with, who's going to show up or who's going to play or what it may be. But we're better than those 2 teams. We know that. And we played really well last week. I think we're finally getting some stability offensively with Squally Canada in the run game and Critchlow as quarterback. And so I expect us to play well, play consistent, and be able to dominate the line of scrimmage in these next 2 games, which we were able to do at UNLV, and will continue to help us going through. So it's not going to change my opinion. I think it was disappointing, and I think if you talk to any fan, coach, player, whoever it may be, they're disappointed in how this year ended up because it could have been a lot different. And it's just unfortunate, but. Hopefully we finish out strong and just kind of get a little bit of momentum going into the offseason because that will help.
If BYU were to one-up their performance against UNLV, and clearly that was the most complete win of the season, what would a one-up performance against UMass look like?
For me, it would come in the passing game because we know we can dominate the line of scrimmage against a team like UMass. We showed that last week. I still think we will run for a lot of yards, and Squally will have another big day. But I would love to see a 300-yard, 350-yard, whatever it may be, passing day from Joe Critchlow. Let him open up a little bit, see what he's capable of, throwing it, 25, 30 times even. And let's just see what he's capable of in that. And I think that would one-up anything that we did last week. And so it would just really help all of us mentally to see just lighting it up through the air.
There are going to be 18 seniors who will play for the final time. We've talked about your senior day a little bit, but having gone through that, what would you recommend to those guys to be able to enjoy the moment Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, that would be just it. Enjoy the moment. Appreciate what you get to do, because I think a lot of times you're in the grind and you're going through the routine and everything's so scheduled. You forget to stop and appreciate what you're really a part of. And I look back on my time at BYU, and I'm so appreciative of the guys I played with, the coaches I played under, and the fans I got to play for. Because it's a special environment. It's a tremendous time in their lives and wasn't mine. And I look back on that and just have tons of great memories and great friends and stories from those times. And so appreciate it in the moment and enjoy every part of it.
His name is Dennis Pitta, not Dustin, and don't ever forget it, everyone. I bet you didn't.
Coach Croton.
Yeah, I bet you didn't dare tell him that either, did you?
No, I never corrected him. I was Dustin for as long as he wanted to call me Dustin.
That's amazing.
Dennis, great to talk to you, man. Enjoy the weekend, and hopefully that means a big BYU win with the nice passing performance from Joe Critchlow.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate you talking to a lowly walk-on.
Get a scholarship.
Dennis Pitta on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline.